Hello, everybody. So we had a little technical difficulties. Even my lighting is a little off right here, but um, thank you, everybody. I'm gonna give everybody a few minutes to join us. I know we're starting a couple of minutes late, but I appreciate everybody coming on. So right now, I'm gonna bring on the guests, and we just want to have a little conversation today about finances and money. And this is a great time to have that conversation because, Christmas is right around the corner. And that's when sometimes we get into a lot of trouble around Christmas time because we want to spend that extra money because we want to get that extra gift. And, we want everybody to be pleased and satisfied. But sometimes we put ourselves in a bind when we really don't have to. So I'm going to just bring on my guests and then I'll have them introduce themselves and then we'll go ahead and get this thing going. So let's see. So I'm gonna add Josephine Cherry. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. Taylor, welcome.
Hi.
Hi. And Kamisha, welcome. How are you? Can she hear me? Everybody can hear me? Everybody good?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Everybody, I'm not sure if Kamisha, it looks like, is it frozen? Kamisha, can you hear us?
I think it's frozen.
Yeah, it looks like hers is frozen. Okay, so
There
we're
it
gonna go
is.
ahead and can you hear me, Kamisha? Can you hear us? No? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna let y'all introduce yourself and then we'll see how it goes from there. Okay, so who wants to go first? Just tell us your name and then something about because the topic is money, finances, saving. All right, let's go.
I'll go first.
Okay,
Get
that's
them
what
out
the
the way.
cat's about.
So my name is on screen, Josephine Cherry. I've worked for the federal government for over 20 plus years as a budget analyst. I've worked in the contracting secular as a financial analyst, and my degree, bachelor's degree, was in accounting from Norfolk State University. I love working with money, and I love seeing generations grow in money and how to better manage it. So I learned much from the young folks and this new way of day trading and the ways that they're making their money. So they're working smarter and not harder. That's who I am.
That's true. Okay. Next. Go ahead, Kamisha.
Okay, I was like, I don't mind going. So I'm Kamisha and don't have nearly as much experience, but I am back in school now studying accounting. So that's my quarter life crisis, I guess. Decided to change completely what I was doing. Right now I'm a supervisor at a telecommunications company. New homeowner, so finances have been a focus for the last few years for us. So just here to share, the little tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way.
That's awesome. Thank you. And Taylor?
Yeah, so my name's Taylor. I went to James Madison University, graduated with Bachelor's of Business Administration and Computer Information Systems. So I currently work as a business analyst at an IT tech company. And so I also am a lot into finances and things like that. So I have a couple of side hustles, reselling and then day trading. So.
Wow. Okay. So all this is good. I could get into all of that right now, but hold on. Okay. So first I want to just talk about, because, last year when they started, when everything went kind of crazy and people started, the government started giving us those stimulus checks, it was a good thing and it was a bad thing. It was a good thing because, it helped some people. We needed that, because a lot of people did get behind jobs, they got sick, they couldn't work. Everything shifted for the whole world, really. But then what I noticed is people start like relying on that. Where's that money? This was extra money that you weren't expecting, but we got to a place where we were looking for, did you get your stimulus check? Did you get yours? And then they said, oh, they're going to give us another one. And so, but what I was thinking about that was, I'm like, okay, wow, if we could just save ourselves, because when I went and did the math, if you saved $1.65 a day, you would have the same amount that they gave us for that stimulus. And if you saved $2 a day, you would have even more. So I call it the stimulus challenge on Facebook, and had some people saving with me. So I thought that was kind of awesome. But I want to jump into, let's just talk about, because I think it's hard. What do you think? Is it difficult? What do you think from your experience? Is it difficult to save money? Why or why not? Who wants to hit that first? Call on somebody. Kamisha, you just bought a home. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Because I know you said that finances was a big thing, because you just purchased a home. Is it difficult to save money? I don't know if Kamisha can hear me. I can't hear you. Kamisha?
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, now
okay.
I hear you.
So, as far as if it's difficult to save, I would say yes. And it just depends on where you're starting out at. So as far as just trying to you got to get out of the habit of living paycheck to paycheck. So I have it set up that 10% of my paychecks automatically go into savings. So I just don't touch.
That's good. Oh, it's frozen.
To touch it. So I just put it into a separate account.
Okay. That's good. And so, but discipline, right? I know discipline is a big thing to not touch it, because every time you start saving, something comes up. Right?
Every time.
Every time. Anyway. Yeah. So you made your focus the house.
Yeah.
Right?
That was my goal. Yeah. So that's what I know I wanted to focus on. So that gave me that motivation to not touch the money, because Amazon Prime is kind of hard. So definitely that.
Yes, it is.
We're talking about.
So I would say that it is difficult to save money, but I think you have to start somewhere. And my reference, probably, I'm going to use this reference in terms of the church. It's not necessarily how much you give, but it's giving something. So I know that many churches teach tithing, and some churches teach graceful giving. And so my thoughts are, you may not be able to give 10%, or you may not agree with that with the tithing principle. However, I said whatever it is that you can give, just start setting that aside. If it's $1, if you commit to just taking your change and setting that jar on the table somewhere visible, whereby as family and kids come in, just drop your change. I still have that on my table. I always tell them I'm saving for my waterfront property, and so I have that jar, and they put their coins on the top, and I open the jar and dump it in. Over time, so even if you don't, I would say, even though it feels difficult to save, and I know in this day and time we use Cash App, we use Apple Pay, so it's not like you necessarily have change, right? In terms of coins, but there are some that still have some coins laying around, and then you can always round up and take that difference and put into your change jar. So it is difficult to save, but you got to start somewhere. Start somewhere and start today.
Yeah. Okay, Taylor, do you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah. So just weighing in, kind of on what Kamisha said. So, I get my paycheck and then I automatically just put some away for savings, because, you never know when you have a rainy day or things like that. So it's important to put that money aside, even if it's tough, because you want to splurge sometimes, you want to buy the new clothes and shoes and things like that. So it's just about sacrificing now so that you can enjoy later in the future.
That's good. Yeah. What would you say the greatest barrier is when it comes to saving money? I know we kind of hit on it a little bit because we talked about the Amazon thing. It's, everything is easy now to purchase. Everything is online. So I know that's a big barrier to saving. Anything else you can think of that would be a hindrance?
Yeah, I think just lifestyle.
Okay.
Just keeping up with like trends and going to
That's
brunch
good.
every weekend, things like that. Just enjoying yourself in a lot. It's like sometimes, yeah, you just have to sacrifice some of those things and cut back a little bit on those things,
Good.
for some time while you
That's
save.
good. Okay. Yeah, I like that. So, were you all taught as a child to save money? Were you taught about money management, like maybe from your parents or your grandparents? Because, growing up, you heard about your grandparents, they always had some money under the mattress or, something like that. And we all heard the term, like we've said it a couple of times, saving for a rainy day. But a lot of times, were you all taught about money management, in your home, or did your parents or grandparents model that for you?
So I'll say that my parents modeled that in a way that, number one, uh, we were poor, but we didn't know we were poor because we ate every day and we had clothes to put on. But I now when I look at where we've come from, I would say that they modeled it before us because, number one, they didn't have a lot of debt. Number two, now even with my mom still living now, and of course my father's deceased, but in seeing that he was able to leave an inheritance for us, meaning that, number one, my mom's house is paid for. Number two, my parents were able to educate all four of their children with a college degree, and it was cash paid. So there were no loans. It was all cash paid, and that says a lot. And they didn't require us to get into debt to cover our student loans. Of course, we worked and we did tutoring on campus, but I would say that it was modeled before us, because in looking at things now, I can see that, hey, number one, I didn't graduate with debt. And number two, with my mom, property is owned, and he bought property. He bought
Yeah.
lots of property because he always believed somebody is going to need some property in the future. And some of that property we still own even today. So yes, it was modeled. It was modeled.
Okay, that's good.
I didn't like it because I didn't like not having some of the things that I would see other children have. I didn't like having, being in middle school, high school, and not being able to, dress like some of the others. So no, I didn't like it. But
Yeah.
hey, on the other side of things today, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I know Taylor mentioned sometimes you have to not do things for a while, just for a while, while you're saving, because that adds up. Is that right? Once you start saving, you get the ball rolling, then it starts adding up. And for real, some of that stuff you thought you wanted, when you see that money adding up, you're like, I don't think I want that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Was it modeled for you, Taylor, or did you just come into it and say, I want more?
I kind of came into it and said I want more. My parents, we didn't really have the money conversations and things like that. Like we didn't talk about the loans, credit cards, and things like that. I just knew, they worked hard, they were able to pay for things, and I was able to live comfortably. So that's about all I knew really about money. So when I did receive money, it was kind of on me to go out and take responsibility and learn and research all that I can just about money management and how I can put my money in a better position to keep it and then multiply it as well. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, yeah, it's your responsibility to take initiative to learn about money and how to manage your own money.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. So, for this one, so yes or no, you are in control of how much income you generate. Now I know Kamisha talked about multiple streams, and I think you have multiple streams, right? So let's talk about that. Are you in control of how much income you generate?
Yes and no.
Okay.
And the reason why I do say yes is because there are ways to get multiple streams of income, but you do have to do that research, figure out what works for you and then go for it.
Mhm.
But it also kind of depends on the access that you have to that information. So it's a little bit harder for someone that does grow up without as many resources to find that information.
Mhm.
But there's ways to get it. There's public libraries, there's
Mhm.
things like this, like just watching on Facebook, you're just scrolling on social media and you see some information that may be helpful to you. So as long as you want to go get the money, it's out here. You just got to have that discipline that you were talking about earlier.
Mhm. Mhm. That's good. Anybody else? What do y'all think? You're in control of how much you generate because they talk. I've heard somebody say you need 7 streams of income, but I mean you got to have time to enjoy and time to actually do something well. So you can't, as they say, spread yourself too thin, but then you can't use excuses either, for not being able to have things. I saw something about millennials. It said, here's a statistic. It said that statistics agree that millennial earnings are low compared to median wages. They're lower than the Gen Xers or the baby boomers when they were early in their careers. And I know a lot of times a lot of millennials don't want to take certain jobs. They want jobs that pay a lot right now instead of working to get to that position they already want it. And you won't be wealthy. I'm going to say wealthy. You won't be wealthy that way. It's something that you have to, work steady at. Y'all agree? Oh, Lorraine.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, Lorraine, with what you're saying there. And I would say you are in control of how much income you generate. I mean, certainly, I would say for our millennials and our young people, number one, you know your worth and your value. Even if you don't have a degree, you still know your worth and your value and what you can bring to the company. And so I would always say in any interview, I'm going to put more on the table than what you're going to be paying me, because I know my value. I know what I'm going to bring to this company. And so certainly you're in control of how much you generate. Number one, multiple streams of income. There's many
Mm-hmm.
ways. Not that you have to spend every waking hour working because you're going to burn out. But I think Taylor said it best when she said that side hustle. It's good to have a side hustle, and those multiple streams. Some of them don't have to be that hard. If you're good with creativity and you're really good with marketing or that kind of thing, you can really, really make some good money on the side. So, yes.
Okay, that's good. Lorraine, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you. Okay, so you want to answer that? Is you are in control of how much income you generate? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
and why you say yes?
I think, well, we have the ability to create, and I think with creation, the opportunities are endless. And then the money that you get in, like let's say that you have a 9 to 5 or a non-conventional job, like whatever kind of job you have, you can make the money. You can take the money that you're making with this business, with this company, and make that money multiply.
Yeah,
It,
that's good.
investing is kind of my thing. Day trading. I'm working on the day trading, but investing, there's no limit to how much money you can make.
Mm-hmm.
What people make in a year, some people make in a week, a day. I know some traders that make $1,000 in their first 3 hours of the market being open, and they're done for the day.
Wow.
And if
Yeah.
they wanted to continue, I'm sure they could make more money. And then you multiply that by 5 days a week.
Mhm.
You can make so much money. I don't think that there's a limit, and I do think that we're in control of how much we make. But I do think it takes discipline and consistency.
That's good. That's
Hmm.
good. And we mentioned day trading. And Taylor, I know when you introduced yourself, you talked about day trading. How has that been working for you? And well, how hard is it to get into? And is it, are you seeing your money grow? Because I think that's a big thing. You got to see that money grow.
Yeah, definitely. So, of course, there's a learning curve when it comes to trading, but investing in stocks, that's something you can put your money in and let that grow over time without you touching it or doing anything like that. Um, but yeah, trading has become a skill that I am developing, and it has been generating good income so far, and it's something that I look to continue doing, um, in the future. So. I would say you can always, so going on that question of how much income can you generate, like they were saying, like you could pick a new skill, like it could be photography, barbering, web development, producing. There's so many things that you can do, whether it's with your talents or a skill that you learn get a cert or something for, that can really make you marketable and just increase your income that way. So.
Okay, that's good. That's good. All right, so here's what I want to. So I'm going to show this right here. This is one of the other things that I looked up. 2/3 of Americans would struggle to scrounge up $1,000 in an emergency. That's major. I mean, I know people say $1,000, but you know, we're gonna have an emergency. Things are gonna come up, all the time. And like we just talked about, whenever you start trying to save, you can believe that something's gonna come up that's gonna say, I might need that money for this and need that money for that. But I mean, true emergency. So even Kamisha, when you were saving for your house, what were some of the things that came up? That it was like, I gotta pull from that, or you had
My
to
car.
discipline yourself. Really?
Yeah.
What happened?
So literally the month before closing, my car, I was like, I went and got an oil change and a tune up, like regular maintenance. The very next week, the bolt on my engine came loose,
Wow.
and I drive a Jeep. So they had to take the entire, that was like an extra $1,200 that I had to pull from my savings. So luckily I do always have a rainy day fund. But I'm like, that's furniture money, that's, I want to screen in my back porch. So now I kind of got to refigure stuff around, but
Okay.
it's always something. Like it never fails every time. It's either go be your car.
Oh, I think she froze. Okay, that's good. And anybody else experience that when you start saving, stuff comes up, things happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
And Laura,
Mm-hmm.
Lorraine, I was going to say, it doesn't matter at what age things happen. Even for your parents, they happen. I mean, we were rolling along real good, and looking at some additional investments, and then all of a sudden the air conditioning unit went out this summer,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh no. I mean, this is a huge system.
Mm-hmm.
And you come through and you're getting estimates. One guy's like, yeah, it's gonna be about 14,000. 14,000. What?
Wow. Yeah.
And so, luckily we were like, well, what we will do. So we ended up doing putting some Freon in there to keep that thing running, at least get us to the winter, and that was like $600. That's a whole lot cheaper than these thousands of dollars for a system. And we'd say, well, we'll look at it in the spring. But that kind of got us over the hump. But just imagine if it was, and this happened probably about August, well, really, yeah, about August time frame, which was really hot. So to roll out that kind of cash, unless you got a money tree in your backyard,
Yeah.
you better have something saved up
Yeah.
for a rainy day.
So, and it's so important. How important? Let's talk about budgeting, because I know Rain budgets for us because I run a daycare, and when she asked me, because you don't think about it at first. What are you spending your money on? I need you to, let me see your budget, and I'm thinking budget, So, but let's talk about budgeting. How do you all budget, or do you just say I'm gonna pay this bill and pay this bill? Let's talk about where you send your money. Rain, you want to tackle that first about budgeting?
Yeah. So before I do at the beginning of the month, and then I do it right before I get paid just to check in, make sure everything's squared away. But I guess I'll start with when I started, I had to go through my bank account because I wasn't really using cash like that, using my card. And it's really surprising to see like how I was spending my money, like on food, or I like to buy like perfumes and stuff. So I would spend money on perfume, on gas. I like to travel. So you'll find you spend your money on a lot of things, but when you put your budget on paper, at least for myself, it helps you to stay in control. So you say, this is how much money, I'm sorry, that's my dog. This is how much money I'm going to set aside for myself for this. This is how much money I'm set for this. And then at the end of the period, when it's time to budget again, sometimes I'll have money left over. And then I'm able to like, okay, it's like a reward for myself. Like, where am I going to put this? Where I'm going to buy perfume, or I'm going to travel, or sometimes I'll pour it over into my savings because like you said, you never know. But I'm pretty religious with it, just because when my money's not right, I'm in a bad mood. So I like to keep my coins in a row. But I think it's really important, especially, as you prepare for things in the future, like buying a home or starting a family. I think it's important.
That's good. Did you ladies budget? Anybody else write it out?
So I actually have a whole budget planner that I keep like each month, and then it goes by like the quarters too. So I was like, I fill that out really. It's actually like right here. So it's like every time I spend anything, I put that down on paper. So I keep track of everything. And then that way I'm able to calculate my savings. So like for me, I turn 30 next month. So I'm planning my birthday trip. So making sure like I have the money for that. All my rewards points from my credit cards, moving those around for like gift cards for dining and things like that. So me and that thing kind of go everywhere.
That's good. That's good. Wow. Anybody else?
I kind of wanted to ask the question,
Sure.
if I may, when Lorraine was talking about budgeting. When you speak of budgeting, what do you do? Like I hear Kamisha, she just showed her, her register where she keeps everything written down. So what about in terms of the number of credit cards, and how does that come into play with your budget? Do you have a running balance on your credit card, or do you pay your credit card off? Just how does that come into play in the budget? I mean, it's for anyone. I'm just curious. That's all.
Okay.
I can kind of answer that because I was just kind of talking about like my rewards points and stuff. So for me, I pay my major bills with my credit cards just so I can get like all of the rewards, cash back. I have a airline card that I'll use for travel. So like regular groceries, gas, things that I know I have to pay every month, I'll use that for my credit card, and then I'll pay it before it's due. That way I'm never paying interest on my credit cards, but I'm still reaping those benefits. So I'm actually getting money back for stuff that I would already be paying for. So that's how I do my credit cards. I have one that gives me just cash back. I have one that gives me extra points for like dining. So whenever like we want to go out, and then I have my one for travel.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I was just curious.
Anybody else? That's good.
Yeah, I'm similar to what Kamisha said. Just for bills, groceries, things like that I know, that I have to pay every month. I just put that on a credit card and then pay it off each month as well. So I don't carry any balance or interest. I don't worry about any of that.
That's good. That's good. Anybody else?
I do have one, my Apple Card, but I just use it for rent. Just because it's something I pay every month. I did have credit cards in the past, and I don't have really good history with it. So I use my Apple Card, and then at the end of the month, I get cash back, and then I dump that into my savings.
That's good.
Everything else I use, like my bank account for.
And see, I think the schools need to teach, they teach a whole lot of stuff, but they need to teach about credit cards. Because I mean, I don't know about you all, but when you went to college, did you find out that you got so many offers for credit cards and all of this stuff? And it's like, wow, I can get a credit card with a $500 limit or $1,000 limit. You're just going out there and they present it to you and you take it. But if we use wisdom, or we, like you ladies, I mean, you ladies are young and y'all are doing it. You're saving, you're investing, and this is what we need. We need more of this teaching and more encouragement when it comes to saving money and using credit cards, because credit cards are necessary. I think they're good to have, but I also think that you got to pay them off, like Kamisha, like you all were saying, before they're due. I think a trap. Y'all tell me what y'all think. You know how you go to a store and you're buying stuff and they said if you open an account, you get 40% off today. And you're trying to be disciplined and you say no, and then they look at you like, you don't want 40% off? I mean, what do y'all do when do y'all take the bait? Do you say, you know what, I'm gonna do it? Somebody talk to me, young people.
I don't like retail cards, so I usually decline. But they're tempting sometimes. Like Ulta almost got me because I get my perfume from there, so it's like kind of makes sense. But I can just use my other card for that. And usually, I mean, if you're disciplined, it's good. But then you get that 40% off, and if you don't pay it off in time, you're almost paying double that in interest over time. So yeah, it's tempting though.
Anybody else?
I was going to
Y'all.
say, I think that you have to be really, really disciplined with credit cards. Credit cards can be very dangerous if you're not disciplined to pay them off in full. Very dangerous. And so I don't play that game with credit cards, no matter what they're giving me as a discount. Between my husband and I, we have one card, and that card takes care of everything. And certainly, I mean, you have your Visa, they'll give you your American Express Black card and Platinum card and all that, and we have that. But I think credit cards can be dangerous. I hear you. I hear you and Kamisha and Till, I hear you and what you're saying, that you're disciplined and you pay it off. So you see the benefit in getting the rewards and the reward points that you can later use. So it's like getting something from or a value, I guess I would say, for you in credit cards. But I would say credit cards, I think they can be dangerous, but I hear you. I think if it works for you, then so be it. Keep up the good work, keep up the discipline. Let me say it that way. But I use a rule that says, today I'm going to live like no one else, so that tomorrow, and this rule is from Dave Ramsey, if you all follow him, so that tomorrow I can live and give like no one else. So when I'm living like no one else, I'm living like no one else because, I don't do some of the things everybody else is doing, because tomorrow I want to be able to live like no one else, meaning that I'm not going to be normal because I'm able to just roll out cash for anything, for a car. I mean, like, and I say that because, and then I'm going to mute myself. I say that because that when you can pay cash, especially for a car, which depreciates as soon as you drive it off the lot, if you're talking about a brand new car, when you can write a check for cash for that. And I say that it's not how much you make, it's what you do with what you have. That's just my rule. It's not how much you make, it's what you do with what you have. And if you're investing, you're doing day trading, your money is working for you, then guess what? You're going to do well. You're going to be very successful, and you're going to be able to live like no one else.
That's good. That's good. I was looking at a comment, and this is a good comment. Monica was saying, I talk to my students about credit and bills, even though it's not built into the curriculum. That's good. A lot of teachers don't do that, and I think that's perfect. Students need to hear that. And another comment that I thought was good, Willie said, but I think many of these companies are banking on most being financially ignorant or irresponsible. And I definitely believe that's why they offer it, because that, like Lorraine said, it's tempting. You think, okay, wow, instead of my bill being $150, it's going to be half of that, and then you always say, oh yeah, I'll pay it off. sometimes they're good intentions. Sometimes you're not gonna pay it off, but you want to get that percentage, So like discipline for sure, and just being focused. You got to stay focused because we do want to take the trips. And I was thinking about delayed gratification. We talked about that a little bit because a lot of the young people want things now. I want to take a trip. I want to go to the Bahamas now. I want to go. And I know sometimes I look at some of the young people and I'm like, gosh, how can they do that? I can't even take a trip like that right now. I can't get on a cruise boat and go to what is it, San Cabo or wherever, those beautiful islands. But I see on Facebook they're going, and I'm thinking, where are they getting that money? But then, what I'm learning is they come back and they can't pay some stuff. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to be like Willie said, we can't be ignorant about or irresponsible with our money if we want to get to the place where we can really splurge. Taylor, how do you pick your stocks? How do you when you talk about day trading, how do you pick where to put your money? I'm just curious. Help us.
Yeah, so to invest, first I have like a Roth IRA account, which is like a retirement account that I put into. I think you max it out to like 6,000 a year. So just max that out. Buy companies, and then when I buy stocks, so I buy companies that I like believe in, so that I know and believe in. So companies that will grow, like Tesla, Apple, companies that we use every day. You can look at the chart, you can see it growing every year. So you want to invest in good companies like that as well. And that's mainly where I put my money in and then let it build from there. So.
Okay. Money market accounts?
What was that?
Do you do money market? Does that grow fast enough, or do you?
No, I don't do money market.
Okay. All right, that's good. Anybody else want to talk about that? Okay, so we know, the cost of living goes up, but our salaries stay the same, So so there are legitimate excuses for people not being able to save. I'm not saying those excuses, they're legitimate, but that doesn't keep you from like Josephine Cherry said, it's not how much you make, it's what you do with what you have. Because we all know people, even our parents, they had less and it looked like they did more with that, and then we have even more opportunities and we do less with it. A lot of us are, running to get unemployment, when there's so many creative ways that we could save and build up our income. Kamisha, what are the other stream of income? I know you have Kamisha Crafts.
Yeah, craft with Kamisha.
Okay.
So that was just me turning my hobby into a stream of income, and so many people was like, "Oh my God, you should sell that. You should sell that." And I'm like, "No, I'm just having fun." And then quarantine hit, and I was working from home, and I was like, "Why not?" And then it quickly went from a hobby to this is something that I really enjoy doing. But I was like, I'm also working full time. I'm also back in school full time. Because like again, I did want to change what I was doing with my life, so I went back to school for accounting. So kind of dialed it back a little bit. I was investing before. I still do every once in a while. I have heavily invested into my the company that I work for, which actually did a lot of good throughout the pandemic because it's telecommunications. Everybody's at home. You need internet. You need phone, things of that nature. So that ended up being really good for me that I could kind of just like dial back, take a break, focus on my house, and like everybody was saying, it's really the discipline. Like there's so much out there that you don't want to kind of dabble in too much. So I was able to just like, focus on building my business, getting my name out there, attending vendor events, networking with different people. And I actually like learned a lot more just from having conversations with people than I did from like my research online and in books and things of that nature. So
that's good. That's good. Anybody else want to share about that? So we almost be getting ready to wrap this up, but I just wanted to show you this was another statistic that we need to touch on. It said 43% of Americans spend more than they receive each month and then borrow and use credit cards to finance the shortfall. That's one of the things that Josephine was saying, how credit cards can be dangerous. You're spending more than you receive each month, and then to catch up or to take up the slack, you use the credit cards, which puts you further and further in a hole. So I think conversations like this is so important for us to talk about and get a lot of the young people on board, because being in debt and poverty, it can be a generational thing, and people never get out of it, and they think this is just how it is. I can't catch a break. But just because you started that way, you don't have to stay that way. Some people do pull themselves out of it, and they use their skills and their gifts and talents to become great. So wrapping this up, I just want everybody give the people some advice from you. You can either give them advice from you, like what would you do going forward? What is your plan going forward so that you can do what you want to do when you get older? Because you guys are young now, but as you get older, you'll find out what is that. The retirement check won't be enough. It's already not enough. People that are retired now, they can't retire. They got to go back to work because it's not enough. So how are you going to make sure that retirement is enough and leave an inheritance? We're supposed to leave an inheritance for our children. So I want everybody to share something about that. What are you doing? What's your plan? Long-term goals.
I'll start.
Okay.
How am I going to make sure I have enough for retirement? Kind of what Taylor was talking about, my Roth, making sure I max that out at the least.
Okay.
At least, excuse me. I guess also when it comes to advice for people who do feel stuck, because I've been there, I think it's just putting a pause on everything, because I feel like it's a continuation. Like you start and then you realize like I'm running out of money, and then you need more because now you may have spent on things that you didn't have to have.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to pay for the things that you need. So I think just like not continuing to pay for things that you don't need. Another thing I think is important is getting a mentor if you can.
Wow.
I got my brother as a mentor, not necessarily for finance, but just life advice, trying to escape the 9 to 5, building my own brand. And then
Yeah.
making a plan for yourself. It may not look like anyone else's, and it shouldn't, but making your own plan and sticking to it. And if you fall off, when you fall off, going back to it, starting over again. Because I think that that momentum will help you to stay on track. Like you look back and see how many times you got back up, how many times you tried again. I mean, you know what I mean? How many times you made another plan, like just being determined and disciplined to make sure. And then for myself, I always look at my niece, Charlie, and I'm like, she's, when she gets older, she's going to be making her own financial decisions. She's going to be stepping into things. And as an aunt, without having kids yet, I want to make sure that she's able to do that too. So, like, I feel like we all have a role to play. So, finding somebody that you can make that decision for, aside from yourself, bigger picture, I think will help.
Wow. That's good. That's good. Let's see. Next.
All right, so I'll just go off of what she was saying as well. I think my advice would be not to compare yourself to others. I think with my age group and millennials, we tend to look at what other people are doing or accomplishing on social media, or like you said, traveling. Just like, oh, somebody just went to Barbados. I'm about to buy a ticket for Barbados, but I don't know how I'm going to get my rent paid. It's kind of like a competition. So once we get out of that mindset, you got to, like, for myself, I had to put a lot of stuff on pause in order to get my house. And then it's also new construction. So we actually bought our house in January and didn't close until October. So for 10 months, I couldn't touch anything. I couldn't move anything around. I can't deposit large amounts of cash. Like, I can't do anything. And I think that was really what gave me like a sit back. Like, I really have to like focus in on what I'm doing, how I'm moving, because there's somebody watching everything that I'm doing. So I may think I'm making the right decision, but I might not be. And then I have this 3-year-old that just walked in here. So he's okay. He's okay. He's okay. So making sure I have something to leave for him,
Mhm.
I think is gonna be the main thing. Like growing up, I didn't have those financial conversations with my parents, but once I got grown, it was like we were all in the same spot at the same time. So we were having those hard conversations like, what are you doing? What's working? And then taking those best practices from each other. Um,
Mhm.
and I saw my friends going on trips while I was in this process. Costa Rica was a trip, and I'm just like, man, they living it up. They're on boats, like they're having a good time. But at
Mhm.
the same time, I know like what my goal is. So just set smart goals, make sure it's something that's obtainable, achievable, set a good time frame for it, and then
Mhm.
just don't worry about what other people are doing and you'll be where you need to be.
That's good. That's good. Okay, Taylor.
Yeah, I love what both of you all said about the mentor. I think that's great and definitely important to have. And then what Kamisha said about what she said about someone's okay. So yeah, what she said about just not comparing yourself to others. I
Yeah.
think that's also very key because your goal might not be to be a millionaire. You may want to just like be able to live comfortably, take care of your family,
Mhm.
and just do the things that you want to do. So just adding on to that, though, I think my other piece of advice would just be to invest in assets that will make you more money. So you're working hard for your money. So now find a way that your money can work hard for you. So whether that's in, investing in stocks or real estate or getting into a side hustle, starting a business, things like that. I think I just encourage everyone to, find a side hustle, find something that you can have your money make more money for you. So that's my
That's good.
advice.
Okay, thank you. That's good. Next.
So I think everything they've said really speaks to everything that I would say. And
Mhm.
the things that I would add is number one, whatever company you're working for, if they have matching funds, max that thing out. Whatever they
Okay.
max it out. I mean, that's money you wouldn't have and see anyway. So just go ahead and let them take it on out of the check. Just max that out. That's a start.
Mhm.
That's a great place to start. Um, and pretty much everything they've said. I mean, if a credit card works for you, okay, but I would very very much caution
Mhm.
that credit card because again, the bank is in business to make money off of you. And so, as long as they can make money off of you by charging you a high interest rate, or even if the rate is good, even if it's a good rate, if you got a balance, you're going to be paying more for that item than
Mhm.
what you would have paid for if you rolled out cash up front. And I think the other thing is tell your money where you want it to go. Don't let your money control you. You control
Yeah,
the money. Tell the money where you want it to go and what you want that money to do. I
that's
think that
good.
is very important to do. And I mean, I think that, and then like Taylor said, have goals. Everybody may not want to be a millionaire, you, you may not, but if whatever your goal is, and then be authentic. I think that was said, don't
Yeah.
don't follow the crowd because you never know how they making it. Everybody can take a picture and say how they enjoying life in Barbados and all of these places, and when they get back home, lights are off, and yet they got a coat, an extra layers because it's cold in here. They got to wait till the next paycheck to get the lights back on. And
Mhm.
that's just like yeah, you may have had a great time, but now what are you gonna do that you're back? I can
Mhm.
go to work every day, but I got the water running, but I just can't. I don't have any heat right now, but I'm gonna be okay. Um, so and as Taylor said, choose stocks, buy stocks when they're low, when they're cheap. Get those
Mhm.
stocks. Get in early on
That's
stuff that
good.
is really really a product that Tesla.
Mhm.
That's just soaring. That's just the place to be. Um, and that I think that's it. I think that's it. And pray. Talk to God about your finances. Uh,
Mhm.
read that word. especially Proverbs. There's one for every day. I think Proverbs will set you up really good and set you out, and you'll have a money tree growing in your backyard.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right.
Love that.
Wow. All right. So this has been great. We've gotten a lot of comments. Everybody's saying this is great conversation. It's necessary. We need to talk more about money, more about saving and finances. And so everything, just to recap, I know we said don't compare yourself to what you see others doing, and I love that. Tell your money where to go. You got to tell your money what you want it to do. I like that, keeping your focus. I really love, would advise everybody to get a mentor, because it's always good to talk to somebody else who's doing what you've done, somebody who's going where you want to go, or somebody that can shed some more light on something that you probably didn't even see. I think that's really great. Invest in assets that will make you more money. Because I was thinking today, a savings account, when you put your money in a savings account, it's not really growing. All they're doing is saving your money for you for when you get ready to come back and get it. But you're going to get back basically what you put in a savings account. You see the little interest and you get a penny, 2 pennies, if you want your money to grow, you gotta talk to Taylor, maybe invest and stuff like that. Right. So this has been great. I appreciate you all. Thank you. It was last minute too. You ladies are great. I'm proud of y'all. We're going to be watching you guys because y'all are doing great. You're doing big things and you're young. And I think young people can do great things. And it's really a positive thing for us to see, you're doing it. So I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Josephine, you want to say something before we get off?
Yeah, I was going to say thank you, Lorraine, for having us on. And, I'm looking forward to seeing these young ladies do great things. As long as they make gas, I'll find you. I'll be on the road. I'll stop by your place, Kamisha. I just want a sandwich. I'm not going to ask for much. Taylor, it's always a sandwich for me. I tell my kids all that all the time. You don't have to buy me a whole meal. It can be a sandwich, whatever kind of sandwich it is, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, just a sandwich. So just keep that in mind. I will be moving about, and I just want a sandwich. That's all. So you're doing great things. Yeah,
this is great. Yeah,
I'll have the sandwich. I'm not too far.
All right, great. Thanks.
Yeah. And congratulations on your new home.
Yes,
Thank
congratulations.
you.
That's great. Yes. All right. So, ladies, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. I appreciate you all so much. Keep doing great things. We're going to hear back from you all. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Talk to you all later.